You're listening to Dads, Diapers, and Drinks. 3 dads trying to lead their families well in a crazy world. So grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dads, Diapers, and Drinks. I'm your host, Scott, here again with Nathan and Jeff.
Yeah.
What up?
And you're listening to episode 46.
46.
Now.
That's a lot of episodes, guys.
It is a lot of episodes. I think I might have said this like 20 episodes ago at this point, but I can't believe we've made it this far.
I know.
I still can't believe it that we've made it this far.
I can't believe we're still doing this.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're almost to 52, which if you are a Scientologist, that's 52 weeks, the number of weeks in a year. So we're really close to been doing this for one whole year, which is kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. We actually started recording our first episode more than a year ago at this point, I think. Because we'd recorded, I think, 5 or 6 before we released any of them. Mm-hmm. So we actually
convinced ourselves it was worth ever putting on the internet.
Yeah.
Or before we got drunk enough, we decided, screw it, let's just put them up. I'm not sure what happened.
We'd already paid the artist, I think.
Yeah.
We're like, we put the money in, we're putting them up.
That's such a good logo. We have to do it now.
Yeah.
So the biggest issue we had is we hired a good artist.
Yeah.
If we just got a bad artist, we would have been like, whatever. It looks like crap anyways.
Yes.
Dang it, Andy.
Yeah. Way to go. But here we are. If you're watching the YouTube video or the Rumble video, you may notice things look a little different on Nathan's and my side. I have a futon down here now, and I moved my desk.
I feel like futon is like the clinical term for what this is because it's way too nice to be classified as a futon.
It's a very nice
in
futon.
a traditional sense. It's got like adjustable like armrest things, and it's extremely comfortable. Yes. I would like compared to like the IKEA futon, which everyone thinks of when they hear futon. Yeah, it's not even in the same league.
No, it's a great thing we're sitting on.
I'm real happy about it.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so things are going good.
Yeah.
We also randomly got a huge uptick in the number of listens. One day last week, or across 2 days. Mm-hmm. It's like 400 something listens on all the episodes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the algorithm got us for a minute and started boosting our podcast. I don't know what it was. Mm-hmm.
Or if the algorithm gods came in.
I don't know. But that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
So maybe it was all authentic. I don't know. Doesn't really make sense though, because it dropped right back down after that day. But anyway.
400 disappointed customers. Yay!
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, who knows? So, all that to say, feel free to share us around so that real humans can listen to us as well.
We appreciate every single one of you that listens. It's still a shock. It still amazes us that people actually listen to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's mostly friends and family, but I did have an inquiry the other day about using this studio space here to record their own podcast, and I sent them a reference of this podcast, and they liked the episode they heard. So I was like, okay, that's a stranger who listens.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll take it. So, but we do appreciate the friends and family who listen as well. Not that we're trying to just cast you aside as if your reviews don't count for anything, but they do. So anyway, we're happy to keep doing this, and a little bit of, I guess I'll just drop a bit of a future update. Like we've been kind of talking about where we want this podcast to go. So we're committed to getting through episode 52 because that's 1 year's worth of episodes. And then might take a bit of a break after that. I don't know. Some of the ideas we came up with for what to do next excited me. So part of me doesn't really want to take a long break or any break at all. I don't know. Stay tuned. We don't know what we're doing yet. We might want to change.
Maybe some structure changes for us too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And mainly, honestly, it's to improve the quality of the content. Not the quality as in sound, but like the quality of our discussion and everything. So we want to give you the best thing that we have to offer.
Yeah. We want to give you our best. And right now I feel like I'm not quite there. I'm not it's difficult to talk about the wide range of topics that we talk about and to have, I guess, what is deemed an appropriate amount of knowledge about them, to come off as somewhat of an authority on the topic. And I'm so not. I feel like I've put my foot in my mouth so many times on this podcast because I haven't done my due diligence and put the research in. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I sound like a dummy. So anyway, the future, we're going to try to reformat things. And
I don't think you sound like a dummy, Scott.
thanks, David.
I do.
Yeah.
Typical.
That goes without saying.
I don't think very highly of you.
I know.
As long as your worst critic is on the call with you, everyone else you listen to will be a breeze.
That's true.
Yeah. Life updates. Life's been going on. It's been good. No complaints over here.
Thank you for that update.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Fantastic.
How's it going for you, Scott?
Ditto. Yeah, nothing really. I played golf yesterday. It was like 80 degrees.
Oh yeah, it was really awesome.
Saturday and Sunday, which I just said this to Jeff earlier tonight. But April, there hasn't been any ounce of spring. It's been winter, summer, and then now it's going to go back down to like 40 degrees on Wednesday, which is just stupid.
Typical Ohio.
So yeah, but anyway, I played golf yesterday, and I had this guilt complex the whole time because Kelsey looks forward to me being home on the weekends to help out with Davis, and then I left her, and he was a handful. So I might have to take a few weeks off, but we'll see. So
it's fun.
Then he skinned his knees for the first time. He was outside wearing shorts and then tripped on the driveway. So we are racking up the owies. So.
Yeah, we got to break out because it was warm. We got to break out some of our outdoor toys for Kelly.
Nice.
Which is really cool. We got a sandbox, little green turtle sandbox. Have you ever seen them?
Yeah. And
she absolutely loves that, which is awesome. Which gives me the excuse to be outside, which I also enjoy. So it made me really excited for the rest of this summer of just kind of days outdoors and enjoying it. And also we're still planning on doing a whole bunch of remodeling to our house this year. So looking forward to having all of that done and making huge improvements to the house. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be crazy. I'm trying not to stress out about it. I kind of had it was a really stressful week when our loan actually finally came in. And then I'm like, okay, I have the money now and I have the all the proposals for all this stuff, and I'm looking at all the numbers. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to do this. This is so crazy. I can't believe this is happening. So yeah, I kind of had a weird moment on last Friday when this all happened. I was like, holy crap, I'm about to pull the trigger on it's the craziest renovations of my life.
Can you imagine?
Just weird.
Today is Monday, April 25th. Elon Musk bought Twitter today. Can you imagine forking over $44 billion or whatever that was?
I'm freaking out about 20 grand. I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to invest this much.
Seriously though, perspective.
Yeah, it's crazy.
World's changing, man. I mean, in 1 week, there's revoking Disney's legal exemptions,
their tax
in Florida.
Exemptions or whatever. Yeah,
yeah. Their self-governing rules in Florida, and then Elon Musk buying Twitter. Sanity is starting to creep through. People are just not. The average person is just looking around, going, "Dudes, this is not normal.
Yeah.
This is not cool." When you Netflix has dropped 20% stock value this year.
Yeah,
and they're going, "Why is that?" Well, maybe because when you load Netflix, the first thing you see is the Black Lives Matter collection.
Yeah,
maybe people are like, "Dude, I don't." What even is that?
Netflix
Why
did
is
great.
Denzel Washington in there?
Yeah, Netflix did great during the pandemic, and then all the Black Lives Matter riots and stuff happened. I'm taking this directly from Cleveland. I just listened to him today.
Yeah,
but all the riots happened, and then Netflix started, pushing the black agenda. Everything's got to be black this, black that. All the Netflix original shows have mixed marriages and or interracial. I mean. And there's just this agenda behind everything, and then everyone's unsubscribing. So
I will say their solutions are top notch. Stop password sharing, fantastic idea.
That's
Add
right.
ads. Yeah, that's exactly what I want on
That
a
is what
subscription
that-
that
that's
is
what the people
always
want.
like has never had ads on it before. Like, wow, you're never gonna get anyone else to unsubscribe with those plans.
Yeah, what do you not
Good
have?
job.
I don't know.
The last great show was probably The Last Kingdom
Yes.
that
on
was good.
Netflix. It's such a good show. We've ranted about it before. It's such a good show. And the thing that was so good about it was such a breath of fresh air in that it was, because it's a medieval story. And the thing that they didn't do is they didn't inject 2020 politics into a medieval story.
Yes.
So it just is a story that feels like it was written for that time.
Well,
it's also just good.
It's based off of a book series,
Yeah,
so they have to stay somewhat true to what the author wrote.
Yep.
they didn't. Yeah.
But
Anyway.
yeah,
Facebook ranting over. It's just the world's in a big shift
Hey.
right now. I mean, it's the same reason why we decided to do this show. It's like we're looking at the tea leaves and going, "Yo, stuff's moving," and
yeah.
like we want to be part of it. We want to contribute in whatever little way we can to pushing our culture in especially for us, our generation, in a better direction. So
Yeah, so I guess my vision for our podcast originally was like the three of us are just your everyday guy.
Yeah.
We're just giving our perspective on the world and how crazy it is right now. So I don't know. We're not necessarily the best and brightest, but we think we're okay.
Hey.
Jeff thinks he's the best and the brightest.
We're not the best, but we decided to show up. That's all.
That's right. We're just here. We're just sharing our ideas, however informed or uninformed, and that's what's out there. So
Merry Christmas.
yeah, enjoy. What are we drinking, Nathan? I actually didn't even see what you poured.
So this
We've got
is
3 bottles of whiskey. over
we
there.
have like 3 ranges of like whiskey. This is our cheapest bourbon. This is the Big House straight bourbon. This is like a budget bourbon. It's like $20, and it is not bad at all. I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot. It's very tasty,
Yes.
but it is not expensive at all, which I'm okay with.
I didn't have ice cubes last week and told myself you should make ice cubes this week. And I didn't do it. So we're going neat again.
Absolutely.
nice. In honor of the warm weather, we went and bought some summer drinks, which for us is the Truly hard
Oh, yeah.
ciders.
Yeah.
Trulies are, in our opinion, me and my wife, the best version of the hard ciders or the hard seltzers.
Seltzers, I was going to say.
Yeah. And gosh dang, they're so good. And of course,
Oh, yeah.
as we said, it's like, what is it? 45 degrees outside, and it's just going to get colder. And I'm drinking my summer drink because it was 80 on the weekend. And gosh dang it, I was going to enjoy it while
Man,
I could.
I wore flip-flops. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so hot in our bedroom already. I couldn't do it.
Dude, we just got AC installed as part of our house projects this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the best moment of walking over to my wall and going, AC on. And then feeling the whole house cool down. It's like,
Game changer.
Oh, this is so worth the money. Oh my gosh. I can't wait for summer. It's going to be awesome.
That's like the most adult thing. Do not touch the thermostat. Man, do I love the AC.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
Congratulations, you've arrived.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I did it.
Yeah. All right.
What are we talking
I
about
got 2
today,
kids,
Scott?
but the real point when I felt like an adult was when I turned my AC on for the first time.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
That was the moment.
Yeah, and that's when boys become men right there.
Yeah.
Oh, golly.
All right. So this week, we're going to do another article review. Not really a review, but we're going to use an article to talk about things.
A little discussion.
We're going to have a little discussion based off of an article. This is an article my father-in-law sent me a number of months ago, and I've had it just in a tab on my phone since then. Just left that tab open forever. And I was like, all right, maybe we should just read this and talk about it. So the link to this article is in the description or the whatever you're listening to, location, whichever platform you're listening on. The link is there. So you can read it for yourself. But the article is titled Parents, We All Choose Our Child's Religion. So basically the article is talking about how the effects your everyday behavior has on your kids and which way they decide to go with their life, regardless of what your best intentions are.
And I do find it interesting, like when I first like read the title, I was actually surprised that I was kind of off put by it, but I think that was like kind of the intent to draw you in a little bit. But I was like, oh man, like I don't like the idea of like I'm choosing my child's religion, you know, like, oh, you're just like forcing it. I think that's kind of part of the culture that has been kind of created.
I certainly like the idea of choosing my child's religion.
No, but I agree with you.
I mean, it's like just like
I think
choosing.
our culture pushes against that.
Yeah,
It does, yeah.
and
It's all like, oh, you shouldn't push your ideology on your kids. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's happening. I don't think you get to not do it.
That's also why we had kids as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, like that's part of it. I didn't just create kids just for fun and then just have them go spiraling out into the world with no guidance. Like, what guidance am I going to offer if it doesn't come from my own worldview?
Exactly.
So that's dumbness. Stupid society.
Yeah, but to your point about the headline, like it is something that I would say it's a clickbait headline, but it's a well done one. Where if you read that, we all choose our child's religion, or you go, like, I agree. My initial thought was like, huh? Do we? And then I was like, what does he mean by that? Because that can mean a couple different things. But you know, the subtitle, I actually didn't read this until right now, so I'll just read it out loud. It says, let's stop pretending that we'll wait for our children to grow up so they can choose their religion. Parents always choose their children's religion without exception.
Yeah. And I think that's easily connected to the idea that when I think of religion, I think of specifically traditional religions, you know, like Christianity, or like if someone's like a Buddhist, you know, or like a Muslim, or like Judaism, you know, like all of these different religions, you're like, oh, you just choose it for them. But it's like, that's like, as much as it's like, that's the verbiage that he chose to use. It's not as specific as it's like, you're going to be the first exposure to whatever it is that you do in your child's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. The article talks about, I'll read a little portion of it here. Through tens of thousands of ordinary daily interactions, moms and dads orient young hearts toward a vision of what some person, James K.A. Smith, I don't know who that is, calls the good life. Parents show their children what to love, what to desire, what matters most. This usually happens unconsciously. By example, practice, habit, and speech, parents are saying to their children, this is the good life, the fulfilling life, the life worth living. So it's through our daily actions that we are really communicating which religion our kids are going to follow. They don't, and obviously the word religion doesn't mean an organized, like traditional religion in that sense of the word. It's,
it's more like a set of beliefs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your orientation in the world. Yeah. It's kind of how Jordan Peterson might say it. He always talks about how you orient yourself in the world. That's kind of what it is.
That's a Peterson-esque phrase.
Thank you.
But it's also, there he is. He made it. What's it been? 12 minutes?
Yeah. My whiskey is still here, by the way. My bourbon is not whiskey. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it is both.
Whatever. 12 minutes in.
I'm impressed.
Still good.
But anyway, it is to the point of, like, they talk about this with the schools right now with Florida and what's going on. Well, that really just sparked debate for the whole country because every school does this. But the idea that parents are kind of pushing this idea of like, we just want our kids to be taught, you know, math. And then you read what's in the math textbooks and it's like, Jimmy has 3 mothers. Which one of them, you know, loves him most? And it's like, what kind of a math question is this?
Yeah.
It's like,
This was from a school in Missouri. Yeah.
That was Missouri. But it's like, you need to talk bigger than just, you know, oh, I don't want any worldview. It's like, no, everyone's got one and your kids will get one. So you need to be that's why, again, I value actual structured religion over the like agnostic-y whatever version. Because it's like,
academia has its own worldview as
academia has its own worldview and it will impart it on your kids if you don't impart your own. So it's not something to take, lackadaisically. You have to focus on this, and you have to say, like, I will try to model things for my kids that I think are important, and it'll actually make you evaluate what you consider important in your own life, because you need to decide, what do I want to model for my kids?
Right.
Do I want to model sitting on the couch eating potato chips and watching movies every night? Is that what I want to show my kids is life? Or do I want to show them something different, something better? Because they will pick up what I put down.
Yes.
And I don't know. I find that it's almost more complicated. I mean, as the three of us as Christians is like looking out for the things that are not in contradiction, but are simply run parallel to our views. Because the contradictory ones, it's like a red flag. You're like, oh no, let's not go there, But then you have the simple ones of like laziness or being gluttonous. Like, oh yeah, I just eat whatever I want. Or like, oh yeah, daddy spends most of his time on his cell phone doing whatever. And it's
feel
like,
attacked.
Those are all for you, Scott. This is an intervention.
I'm also the heaviest I've ever been in my life, so
I'm sorry.
I feel very small over here.
But like he even talks about like the whole good life religion. It's like that is still like that can still run very parallel to our own Christian beliefs, or at least it doesn't run in contradiction to them. Like, yeah, like you're supposed to have a good job and then you'll be successful and then you'll be happy. And it's like in and of themselves, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's when that is the goal, when that's your focus.
Right. Yeah. He calls that the religion of the next big thing.
Yeah. The next big thing.
So I'll read that section here.
Go for it.
In the religion of the next big thing, the sacraments are degrees, promotions, acquisitions, whatever moves one along toward, or what has been determined to be, the good life. If I get into this university, I'll finally be happy. If I make this much money, I'll matter. If I marry this person, I'll find contentment. If I buy this house, I'll be important.
I mean, I personally felt called out to some degree in that because, I mean...
I think that's a huge American pitfall, too.
Yeah. That's very American gospel-y, too.
Yeah.
It's like, God wants you to live your best life now.
Who are you? Who's that, Jeff?
I like the added Southern accent.
Come back in 6 weeks. We'll talk about that one.
Yeah, Joel
We'll get there.
He's
but
yeah. Sorry, we cut you off.
No, you're fine. I don't know. I just felt like personally called out because as much as like I am supposed to have my identity not in what I do, I think it's very easy for me to like really care about what it is that I do. Like I find myself like finding a way to walk the line of taking pride in like your work and what you do and not taking it as an ownership of who you are is very difficult.
Right. Well, I think, sorry if this is awkward, Jeff. A couple of weeks ago when you talked about, with Dan Adams, you talked about the imposter syndrome you had and how crippling that was. Because you didn't have a degree. And I think part of that was this religion of the next big thing.
I mean, it's very much right in line with this of like, I had jumped a rung in the ladder and I was sitting there going, I didn't, okay, I'm here. I broke the whole cultural code and it just felt like it was like super alienating. Yeah. Basically to feel like I'm pretty much over that these days, especially if the career moves I'm trying to get done this year go through the way I'm planning them, then I'll have pretty much reached my end goal of my career path, which was always my plan when I took this job. But like even just having the discussion with my boss, which I had this week of like, hey, so I really want to change my responsibilities in the company. I don't want to do what I'm doing. I want to do different stuff. I was like, I had this conversation, then I hung up and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a brick in my stomach because I'm telling myself I'm going to take on new responsibilities. And I have that same freaking feeling. It came back like this week. It came back of this. Yeah. Like, ooh, I didn't do things right. I didn't do them I feel like I'm not qualified for the thing I want to do because I didn't go to college. And so like, it's literally I'm still not over that stuff, which is crazy.
Yeah, I deal with it too. I'm like the next tier up, I guess. I have a degree, but not by much. Like I graduated. My GPA was like I think 2.65 when I graduated.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've said that number out loud in a very long time. So I had massive imposter syndrome too, because I had the degree, but I knew that I was dependent on a lot of my classmates to help me get through some of those projects and some of those assignments. And I knew that there are interns, like I'm here a salaried full-time employee, and there are interns who are still in college who know more about this crap than I do because, well, they're socially awkward and they're bookworms, and there was definitely an element of that. They're just brilliant kids, but I don't know. It took me a long time and some encouragement from our friend Marty, who we've talked about a lot on this podcast. We should probably have him on the podcast. Even though
He should be a guest.
Not a bad idea.
he does not have kids, but he is pretty much a father figure to a lot of people. But for me, he's been a mentor, a career mentor and a life mentor. But he pretty much pulled me out of the funk. He's like, yeah, your GPA wasn't great, but you have a lot of other skills that lots of people don't have. And I was like, oh, I do? Yeah. Oh, really? Oh. It's like, imposter syndrome's a big deal. And I think everyone struggles with that to some degree. And even me with the studio stuff too. It's like, I'm not degreed in audio at all. I've just been doing it, and I think it sounds pretty good, but I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know. I just watched a lot of YouTube videos. And
I think I can speak for us and say that like we didn't really grow up with the whole like fake it till you make it mentality and the idea of like, oh, we'll just, they're going to just believe me. Like we're like constantly self-evaluating of like, am I actually good enough? Like I don't deserve to be here if I'm not good enough. Yeah. You're like,
oh my gosh, I'm not good enough to play with these people.
Exactly.
That was our life.
Yeah. So, but that all comes back to this culture, this religion of the next big thing, looking toward these, I guess, fleeting worldly things, the things that the world values, to create your own value, like having the right degrees or the right credentials or the right vehicles or houses or whatever, all these material things that don't really mean anything. It's so easy to evaluate yourself and your possessions against someone else and their possessions, and just stack the cards that way and see how valuable you are. So that's a big problem for our society.
And the second one that he specifically talked about, I thought was, I don't know, I feel like it's more in line with the attitude of kids today, like the Gen Z, like young Gen Z.
The I-faith?
Yeah, the I-faith.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if you want to read that real quick.
Yeah, I took some screenshots.
Oh, you're all good.
I stinking lost it.
I believe in you.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Perhaps it's the... I'll try that again. Perhaps it's the religion of I-faith. In this faith, what matters is saying something new, believing something new, breaking religious barriers, rewriting creeds, moving beyond the dead doctrines of dead people expressed in their dead rituals. In I-faith, the versions are constantly being updated, so you have to constantly be adapting. Whatever was cutting edge yesterday is dull today. Whatever is new is better. If something is said in a way no one has said it before, it's probably true.
That last line gets me, man.
Yes, a lot of that paragraph gets me. That's very much our society, and the whole. I try not to get political, but the political left, that's what it is. It's rewriting history. It's using new language.
Yeah, it's the woke ideology.
Yeah, it's the whole woke ideology. Yeah.
But even like that's why the first half doesn't really strike me, because I'm such a loser for history. I just am such a I'm what I would call a big history fan. I love listening to history shows and stuff. And I have a deep respect for the religious traditions that got us to where we are, even though I disagree with some of them for reasons. I have great respect for them, and I understand why they were done and why they worked. And I respect a lot of the first half of this. But that last line, is if something is said in a way no one has said it before, it's probably true.
Yes.
Oh man, that one right there is like, oh shoot, I'm such a loser for hearing some idea I haven't thought and go, oh, that's such a good idea. It's probably completely right. And then just run with it.
Instead of actually analyzing it, you're like, man, that's really well said.
Well, my problem is it depends on the source.
Yes.
I have I'm biased. So, and we all do. Everyone's biased, whether they're willing to admit it or not. And if I hear someone who I trust say something new, I'm very inclined to believe it at face value and not really question it. Whereas someone who I'm more skeptical of, if they say something I haven't heard, my guards are up and I'm like, I'm going to fact check you on that one. And it works in reverse on Twitter. Maybe not now, but where only bad people from the political left are allowed to stay on the platform. Bad people on the political right were deplatformed, including the sitting president of the United States, which is just insane. So,
it's a private company. Yeah.
Now it is.
Well, now it actually wasn't. It was a public company at the time. So your private company argument never made any sense. It was a public company. Brilliant. Anyway, sorry. That's my favorite one. It's a private company. It's literally not a private company. It's literally a public company. So
people
I don't know what you're talking about.
Multiple people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a whole point and I completely lost it.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's not your fault.
I feel like I talked over that whole thing.
No, my whole brain just decided to dump all the important information. Yeah, you don't need that.
Well, it happens a lot. It happens a lot on the pod. Well, I have a good thought and then someone jumps in just ahead of me and then the conversation goes a different direction. I'm like, my thought is no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So
no, it's not a big deal.
It happens a lot. So I apologize. I hate it when it happens to me and I hate causing it to happen to other people.
I feel you.
So
no, but like that whole faith of like, I've got a new thought or just abolishing old traditions as a whole, like, if you can take something down, like it's better. And there's just been so many times, like time and time again, where you're like, that's old. We should just get rid of it. It's like, well, why do you think that was there? Like they're like, that doesn't make any sense. That's antiquated. It's like, maybe they didn't fully understand why they did the things that they did, but it doesn't mean that they weren't effective. Like even like when we had our whole discussion about like men and I was talking about like the rite of passage. Like there was a whole bunch of things that they did during those ceremonies that you did, like that kind of is a little crazy. Like, you just go out and you live in the woods for weeks on end and, and then once you've passed a certain number of things, now suddenly you're going to like go make your own home and you're going to leave your mom and dad. And it's like, that just seems a little crazy. I feel like you don't really need to do that to just be able to handle yourself and live life productively. It's like, but so many times we just like, we're just going to throw out that whole idea because we think it's antiquated. It's like, why don't we just first question maybe the reasoning behind it? Like, okay, maybe we know more now. Maybe we can understand better so we can kind of piece out why that was in place as opposed to just throwing it out. It's like this whole, okay, we're just going to throw out the bathwater. It's like, don't check for a baby. We don't need that. Just whatever. And I just feel like that has happened so frequently, especially in like the past like 20, 30 years. It's just
The other aspect of that is and with iFaith is the absolute certainty that you need to have, the absolute arrogance and pride that you need to have to be fully convinced that that tradition was evil. That our
idea that we just had is so great and those ones were so bad.
This idea we came up with 15 seconds ago that gender binaries are oppressive or whatever is now what is true. Like for however long humans have been around, and amongst Christian circles that varies. It's either, I don't know, a few thousand years or it's been millennia. I have no idea.
Yeah. And it's also crazy that
there have been men and women for that whole time. But yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just crazy that also runs in parallel to this newfound council culture where you basically can't be wrong anymore. Like politicians can't be wrong. Like if you're wrong, like you just have to continue to fight your point no matter what, because as soon as you're wrong, we can't listen to him anymore. He's wrong.
Well, that's
Oh, you were wrong
that
once.
was the Trump
You're going to be
syndrome.
always wrong.
That Douglas Murray, I listened to that on the way home today.
Yeah, it's so
Oh,
good.
yeah?
And I just heard that right when I pulled in my driveway.
Mhm.
But that Harvard study about what happens when people who were so entrenched in an idea that once they've been presented with facts that actually disprove that idea, they double down rather than change their mind.
Did you?
And that's what politicians like. They can't walk back anything they've said because it's all public record. It's been recorded.
Yeah.
So
And this is the Trump phenomenon, which is why so many people hated him, but why I understand why he did it, which is like he doesn't get to say, "Oh yeah, no, that was incorrect," because he just like literally can't do it.
Yeah.
And not because he's like not a character flaw, a political strategy flaw. If he ever says, "Oh yeah, no, I was wrong about that," he's done. Because he will get eaten up so quickly by every single media source if he ever admitted fault. So his political strategy, like he said this directly, is I will never say I'm wrong. I will triple, quadruple, quintuple down on everything.
Yeah.
And then he did. And that had bad downsides. But the upsides were like, sometimes he was just right and would bullnose his way through
yes,
things. And you're like, okay, yes, that's why he did it. And it's like, I get the bad. I see the bad. I accept all that. But you know, there's a reason he's doing it.
Yeah.
If you don't ever say the reason, it just looks bad. But you know,
Did you guys ever watch
middle of the road.
the Flat Earth documentary that was on Netflix by chance?
No.
Okay, so I just was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna watch this. This will be a fun adventure. They had developed multiple experiments that they did. They spent like $20,000 on a laser gyroscope, which is used to basically calibrate avionics equipment for airplanes and stuff. And they're like, if it gets like a 5-degree shift over 15 minutes, then that means the Earth has rotated because the gyroscope stays level no matter what. And then it got 5 degrees of drift, and they're like, it must be wrong. So then they ran it over and over and over again, and they're like, interesting. And then
they weren't convinced.
And so then they developed this whole thing where they're like, okay, we got 2 poles that are exactly the same height, and they have holes in them for light. And I've got a camera that's exactly the same height. And if he goes back a certain degree, then if the Earth is curved, then he should have to hold the light above his head in order for us to see it. And they're like, all right, where's the light? He's like, I've got it at my chest. And he's like, okay, hold it up. And then it immediately comes in frame of him. And literally it ends as him going, interesting. And like, that's the end of the whole thing. And it's like, there's so many people that have like, they've created like this world that they live in, and you just can't be wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I can't be wrong. There's just no way.
I work with a guy like that too. So we have a weird relationship with the guy. He's not part of our company. He's a customer of us who we do co-designs with a lot. But this guy, from an electrical engineering standpoint, is that. All right, he does a lot of things incorrectly, but he's so convinced that what he's doing is right that I don't even know how to correct him. It's like, whatever, dude. You're not worth the time to try to convince. So, and the problem is he's articulate and he can kind of dance his way around the issue and use a lot of technical jargon, and he just dumps this word salad at you in an email. You're like, I don't know how to respond to that. We'll just do what he wants. I don't even care anymore. So, and we'll be on a call with him, and the president of the company will be like, Scott, do you have anything to say to that? I'm like, nah, dude.
Sure.
So he puts me on the spot like that. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I can't.
Oh my word!
I can't come up with that many words. I don't know where those came from.
But these other religions that we can very easily it's kind of a loose term, especially in the article. That's just the verbiage you decided to use.
Right.
It's very easy for, even us as Christians to fall into, even though we're trying to, show our kids what the path is to go on. And there's just no way that they're not going to take the way they should live their life from us, because we're the ones who are emulating it for them. We're the ones modeling exactly like this is what life means. And if we're modeling the wrong thing, they're going to get the wrong idea. And whether we're trying or not trying, they're going to get a message.
Right. there's a line in the article towards the end here. If we take our kids to church on Sunday, then spend the other 6.5 days around the altar of materialism and memorizing the chief parts of the catechism of I-faith, we don't have to be a prophet to foretell what their vision of the good life will be. Yeah, so I said this last week when we interviewed Dad, but I know there have been plenty of instances or examples of parents who are really good people, but for some reason their kids end up spiraling out of control. And a lot of these times they're families that I only saw at church on Sunday, and I don't know what their home lives were like. I don't know how the parents really modeled their faith at home. But I don't know. It's tough to say because there have been pastors as well. Like I think of the former pastor, the pastor of the church when we moved here, and his son. I don't think he's a Christian anymore either. I mean, obviously I'm way out of touch, but last I heard,
talked to him in 10 years, but
yeah, it's just hard to. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around how a pastor.
Well, I'll give the example of one of the pastors at my church now, who at some point I'd love to have on the podcast if I can get him. His dad is a pastor of a really big church. I forget which one. You've heard the name of it. I forget the name of it. And he totally walked away from Christianity and basically said, I want absolutely nothing to do with this. And he ran away for I don't remember how many years and years, nearly got killed in a drug deal. And then decided, all right, maybe I should do something about this. I guess I don't really want to die. It was literally his line in the video that our church made about him was like, I guess I decided at that point I didn't actually want to die, which was the first time in my life I really felt like maybe there's a purpose in living.
Dang, I need to watch that video.
Yeah. And he's if you meet him now, you would think, really? It's like, yeah, he grew up in a great Christian home. His dad's a good guy. He would never say anything bad about him, but something freaking happened.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It terrifies me because I like to think that if we model our faith well, there's no way it happened to my kids. And then you hear those stories and I'm like, maybe it could. I don't know.
That terrifies me, man. Because, man, I look at Davis and I just love that. I love that kid so much, dude.
It's so crazy.
It's ridiculous. And it would hurt a lot if he were to throw his life away and to have it spiral out of control like that.
Yeah.
So, those stories kill me. But the redemption part of it is,
I know,
also amazing. So, obviously, and Dad last week talked about that. Deciding at what point, what things are you actually responsible for, and what things aren't you responsible for as a parent. And at some point, your kids will just choose not to, they may just choose not to be a Christian or not to follow in the path that you've laid out for them. And as hard as that may be to accept, at some point you have to just say, all right, I've done everything I can do and I'm not getting through to them. So all I can do is sit back and just pray for them or just keep loving them.
Yeah.
Or just be whatever they need me to be. But, yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen.
The big challenge of this article, one of the big challenges, I guess there's a couple of them in here that we've already talked about, but just this line of, if you only go to church on Sundays and you spend the other 6.5 days of the week at the altar of materialism, at the altar of this I faith idea, it doesn't take a prophet to see where your kid's going. And, as we're saying, obviously there's probably exceptions to this because there's exceptions to darn near every rule. It is a challenge to me of I really, what would I not do to try to guide my family well? Because it's not just it'd be a good thing to do that. It's no, this is a biblical, here's a gender role for you. It is one of the things God said, men, here's one of the responsibilities I'm giving you.
Trigger warning.
You will lead your families well.
Yeah.
He didn't give it to the women. He said, men, this is there's tasks to be deliberated on, and this is one I'm giving you. You're going to be the spiritual leader of the home. It's this is calling out, take that really seriously. Don't just do it on Sundays. You have to do it. You know, the parts that matter way more is the 10,000 interactions between every Sunday morning.
Yes.
Between you and your kids. So, you know, take up your cross and freaking let's go. You know, there's no excuses. This was the job that God gave you. This responsibility that, to a Jordan Peterson point,
yes,
you don't actually feel worse when you take up these responsibilities. It's actually better for you. And if you adopt these responsibilities, you will actually find that your life is more meaningful and much better.
It's the crossroads of meaning as a whole.
It is.
He has an entire book on that, which is very difficult to read. Maps of Meaning. It's really, really in depth.
He openly said it was his first book, and it's hard to read.
I mean, 12 Rules for Life was readable, but Maps of Meaning was I powered through that book. It was a force of will, but it was good.
Yeah.
No, but I think the thing that it really encapsulates, especially for us, as fathers and as men, is to fight against passivity, because the most likely scenario of these things occurring is when you're not paying attention. It's when you're just, I'll just let things go. And as someone who is very go with the flow, that is something I have to be violently aware of.
That's a good point.
I have to fight myself, essentially.
That's something I've been thinking about recently, actually, because I am very much same deal. Go with the flow.
Yeah, you're just
non-confrontational. Just whatever. It's probably fine.
Yeah,
and that might cause me not to intervene when there's actually a really big problem that needs my attention. And there have been instances back when I was a youth leader in high school. There was one guy who I was particularly close to who was going through some stuff, and then I remember Marty got him. He's back. Got him again. And another leader met with his parents because they weren't convinced that his parents fully understood just how much crap he was dealing with. So they were he had great parents. They're great people. And I don't know. There's some disconnect there. Something, either he wasn't comfortable sharing with his parents everything he was going through, or there was some barrier there. I don't know what it was, but I really hope that Davis feels comfortable enough to tell us what's going on, if there is something, and that I respond appropriately so I don't scare him away.
Yeah. And sometimes that's even hard to hear, because maybe he's going to tell you something that could even crush you, and your reaction would be, your warranted reaction would be negative. But in order to foster the relationship of communication, you basically have to let it go. I'm just imagining those moments where it's just I can't actually just totally yell at you for being a giant doofus head because you crashed the car.
Yeah.
It's okay, buddy. We all make mistakes. That kind of stuff.
We all make mistakes sometimes.
Some more than others.
You seem to make a lot of them.
And I think it's in our attempts to properly parent or discipline our kids, you can even not choose the appropriate time and place, not be tactful in how you handle those situations. You did it, Scott.
I finished the bourbon.
You finished it literally at the end of the podcast.
Yes.
I'm so freaking proud of you. One full bourbon all the way to the end.
It feels right to end the podcast right here. So I didn't have a timer going. That was, I think we're less
about
than an
40
hour.
minutes.
Yeah, sweet. Next week, we're going to have Dan Adams back.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about... I guess we'll try to make it happy things. The topics I sent him were not they weren't the happiest.
It's 50-50.
His response were wow, those are some cheery topics.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Please come back and listen to our dreariness.
Yes, please. Follow us on the socials.
Specifically on Twitter now. Feel free to just smash that one up. We will be there.
Yeah. I mean, we've been there the whole time, but now Twitter feels like
it's
feels
real.
like everything's going to be
I'm
all
genuinely
right.
excited to see what's going to happen. With the
I've
things that
been-
he's proposed, I'm like, bro, that might become
By
a
me, my
sweet
new social
site.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yup. Yes, that's all we got for this week. We will talk at you next week. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Cheers.